if they are doing the nuclear war, there should be a mutually destructive on both parties. How can they survive, and how is the civilization can be intact?
We know that they will survive. Russia and China will not be completely destroyed. We know that. Why? Because the conquest of Constantinople obviously will liberate the Bosphorus, and therefore a Russian navy will still be alive.
How about the civilization can be intact, sir? After those nuclear wars or one nuclear war,
There's never been a nuclear war in history, and so no one has knowledge of what the world is going to be like after nuclear war. Nobody knows. However, from the prophecies of Nabi Muhammad, we know that after the nuclear war, a Muslim army will liberate Constantinople. And so all of mankind will not perish in nuclear war because there'll be a Muslim army liberating Jerusalem, liberating Constantinople. And Hagia Sophia would still be standing, would not be destroyed, and we'd be able to return Hagia Sophia to the Orthodox Christian world. So there have to be Orthodox Christians still alive. It is on the basis of the prophecies of Nabi Muhammad we can now tell what kind of world will it be after nuclear war.
in relation with that, what is the situation of the world after or before the nuclear war? Is there any relation between the biowarfare program or engineered by the West to the people of the world? What is your opinion and what is your prediction about this bio program?
I'm not a soothsayer. I do not know the future. No. I do not know when the nuclear war will take place. But we can look at footprints and we can see the signs that a nuclear war is likely. And those signs are now so plain and clear that there are many analysts around the world who all say the same thing. We are heading towards nuclear war. I don't know what role biowarfare has to play in the road to nuclear war. I don't know.
But do you think that biological warfare is possible or not, sir?
Biological warfare is in the Hadith. Gog and Magog will be destroyed by biological warfare. Allah will wage it on them.
Next question, we move into education, sir. We know that the system of education right now, it's controlled by the secular system of education. Yeah? They try to divide between the Islamic education and so-called Islamic education and secular education. Do you think is that appropriate or not, sir?
The Islamic education commences with the Quran and is built on the foundation of the Quran. And all knowledge is derived primarily from the Quran and secondarily from external sources. Secular education is meant to seek to take the Quran and Scripture out of education. So the two are incompatible, the two are in conflict with each other.
Bit more further about this education, many says that the best education is in the Western world right now because they have advanced technology, while Islamic education is backward because they don't have this grasp in the modern technology. How can you say? How is your opinion about that, sir?
The Prophet said that all knowledge is the lost property of the believer. So scientific knowledge is also Islamic knowledge. How can you put the two as separate from each other? Scientific knowledge or Islamic knowledge? When our Prophet said all knowledge is the lost property of the believer.
Because the starting point of science we want to observe, while some said that the starting point of religion is to believe. Don't you think there is a contradiction about it?
The Prophet said that all knowledge is the lost property of the believer. To the extent that scientific knowledge is valid knowledge, it is Islamic knowledge.
Okay. Now we move to the issue of relation between Israel and world of Islam. We know from our Prophet that there will be a time that the Jews will be run, and in the end times. Do you think this kind of what you call about the prophecy of the Israeli that will be hunt by the Islamic warrior, it can be happen now or later on, say? About the situation, this is relation with the situation in Gaza, that they slaughtered many Palestinians.
If I understand the question correctly, if I do, then our Prophet has prophesied the end of what is going to transpire. The end of this Gaza is that the Muslim army will march from Khorasan, and no one will be able to stop that army until it reaches Jerusalem. And we have argued that Afghanistan is the heart of Khorasan, and Iran is the heart of Khorasan, and the north of Pakistan is a part of Khorasan, and territory north of Afghanistan
why? What is your opinion about the unity in the house of Islam? Because we know that Islam right now it's so fragmented. There is A, B, C, D Islam. There is the claim that they have their own truth and they don't want to hear each other. They reject others so exclusively. Even they fight each other. How can we reconcile as a ummah that can be tolerated?
The Quran can unite Muslims, nothing else. Any other unity will collapse. Only the Quran can unite Muslims. And so when we speak of Muslim unity, we speak of the unity of those Muslims who recognize the Quran as absolute truth and who seek to remain faithful to the Quran.
Yes, they always said that only the Quran can unite us, but in reality, they don't do that. It's only a slogan.
I said to you just now, but perhaps you didn't hear me, only those can be united who recognize the Quran as absolute truth and who struggle to remain faithful to the Quran. These can be united, yes. And these will be at the side of the Imam al-Mahdi and Nabi Isa alayhi salam when they come.
Okay. Related with that, our ummah will be led by Imam Mahdi and our brother in Christian will be led by Nabi Isa, Jesus, the prophet. How can we manage our brotherhood with our Christians brothers, not only Christian but the others religion that have like-minded, to have a brotherhood in relation against the Zionists and Western alliance?
The Imam will be our leader. But the Imam was not taught the Quran by Allah. But Nabi Isa alayhi salam was taught the Quran by Allah himself. And so while Nabi Isa will not be our Amir, he will still be our teacher and our guide and our judge, Qadi. So it is he who will manage the relations between Muslims and Christians. He will do it, and this is why Allah speaks in the Quran of hikmah. Yes. وَيُعَلِّمُهُ الْكِتَابَ. Allah will teach him the kitab, which is the Quran. وَالْحِكْمَةِ, and Allah will give him wisdom. وَالتَّوْرَاةِ وَالْإِنْجِيلَ, and Allah will teach him the Torah and the Gospel. So the wisdom is there for him to be able to manage between the two ummahs and keep the two ummahs in harmony and friendship with each other, fraternity.
You already explained that Christian Orthodox will be leading the world until the end. We as a Muslim,
I didn't say that.
I mean the Christian Orthodox,
I said what the Quran